right, what's going on, everybody? Hernan hosting here, Lambdas who roll our first episode, and I'm here with my co-host, one of my co-hosts, Fernando. What's going on, brother?
How you doing? How's everything? Thank you for
I'm
having
good,
me. I really
man.
appreciate it. I'm
Man, I'm
super
super
excited about
excited.
this opportunity. Yeah.
Definitely, man. We've been talking about this for quite a long time, and hopefully in a future episode, we'll talk more about Lambdas who roll, why we started it, and some of our initiatives now. But today, we have a pretty exciting episode. We wanted to talk with one of our fellow hermanos who just competed at East Coast Elites ECE3. And with Brandon, so we're going to be here with Brandon talking about his experience, his journey to jiu-jitsu, and just kind of get to know how he's gotten so involved, how he started competing. So it's going to be great. So let's let him in right now into the broadcast.
All right. You guys hear me?
Yeah, man, we hear you. What's going on, Brandon?
Perfect. What's up, everyone? Para siempre.
Para siempre. All right, so we are live right now.
Okay, sounds
And,
good.
So yeah, man, we just wanted to get together, get to know you. You know, this is our first episode. We wanted to talk to you a little bit more about, your journey into jiu-jitsu and how your first competition, which was super exciting. You know, I'm sure, there was a lot to say about that, and we want to hear about your experience. So let's get started, man. So how'd you get into jiu-jitsu? How'd you get started?
So my journey in jiu-jitsu has actually two starts. I first got into jiu-jitsu when I was around 14, 15 years old. When I first moved to Bergenfield, New Jersey. There was a gym about a 5-10 minute walk, and Diego. There was a gym like a 5-10 minute walk from where I live, and my dad he comes from a judo background. So he always wanted me to get into like some type of like martial arts self-defense. I did taekwondo as a kid. I did it for about a year or two, but that was about it. And then when I moved here to Bergenfield, there was a gym. It said Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So my daddy asked me, he was like, "Are you interested?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it." The experience was cool. I was young. It was a new experience, something I had never done. I come from I did soccer as a kid, did it all through high school, did a year or two in college, but that was about it. So this whole martial arts thing was completely new to me. I did it for a year, but soccer was primary, so I didn't focus on jiu-jitsu at the time.
Interesting.
As a kid, you had like the different belt rank system, so I got up to like yellow, and okay. That was about it. And so that fast forward to October of 2018, I had graduated from Rutgers with my experience now in LUL. Through a fellow hermano, Black Manny, he's the one that introduced me to Diego, and told me, he's like, "Hey, there's a spot here in Hackensack. Again, a 10-minute drive now." And I was like, "All right, I'm in. I'll check it out." And the rest is history. I would not choose. I would not, could not, will not choose another spot because that was just. It was home. And for the past 2 years and some change, that's where I've been training at Rollstar.
That's awesome, man. And I'll tell you, man, I've been talking to these guys. Last time I saw you was when I went up to Hackensack up in, I think it was the October time.
Yeah, around that time.
And I rolled with you, when you first started at Rollstar.
Yeah.
Then I rolled with you again in October. And man, you made like leaps and bounds, bro. Like, it's like you were going for leg. I think you were going for my ankle at one time. And I'm like, what's this guy doing? I'm gonna have to put some of this extra sauce on you guys. You guys are training like beasts out there, bro. I see the videos. And man, you were doing a lot. So tell us, like, what's your training schedule like now? Now that you're so involved and you seem very passionate about it, how often are you training?
I'm training as much as I possibly can. I'm there 5, 6 times a day sometimes. Sometimes if I can, if you know. So here's the thing: is like I'm fortunate where I'm 25 years old. I live with my parents, right? So get that out of the way. I work a 9 to 5, so we had this thing set up at the previous spot, on Hudson, where there was a 6 a.m. class, like a coffee and gist thing we called it. So my my schedule didn't permit it as much, so I went for maybe 45 minutes in the mornings back then. Now my schedule permits it even more, so if I can, I'll go in the morning, I'll head to work, I have a little bit of a break, and then I'll sometimes head in the evening. So I'll sometimes go twice a day. But body and sleep permitting, I'll go 5, 6 times a week.
That's crazy.
I've done a full week straight.
That's what's up.
It's just fun.
That's great, man. Honestly, bro, that's awesome. So, you talked about, so you're pretty much training a lot more than the average person, right? You're training,
Yeah.
6 a day. I mean, yeah, because honestly, I remember I read, I think it was Renzo Gracie that mentioned that if you want to progress from white to blue belt within 2 years, the average, the least that you should train is about 2 times to 3 times a week. And I usually tell my students, yeah, if you want to like move forward, you have to be on the mat consistently, right? And the minimum that you should be on the mat is probably at least 3 times a week, 2, 3 times a week, so that you can see progress, right? Because sometimes when you're off the mat for quite a while,
it's hard to see.
Yeah, it's hard to see the progress. But you're doing it almost twice as much, right?
Yeah.
Keep your body, and I know, man. When I train, and I'm in my 40s right now, so when I train and it's a good week, man, I'm feeling like right now I'm feeling it, bro. Right? How do you recover? Do you take anything? Do you, is it just sleep? It's just natural? Like, what do you do? I know you're young. You got that metabolism.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger thing. I'm young, so with the summers of soccer, the double sessions of all that, your body is just used to just working hard. I played goalie, so my body's extremely used to that. So I can handle that. Obviously, there are those sessions where you're just getting your butt kicked, and it's just it's just one of those. But I don't I come home, I just probably just lay down for a little bit, and I just go about my regular day. It's not I don't really take anything besides eating not so good food. That's what gets me through.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So
that's what's up. So let's get to eat.
We're basically gonna give a room. We're gonna give Brendan a room in the gym so he never has to leave.
For real, right? We'll just give him a room.
That
right?
way he can just
little cot on the
sleep
floor.
there, wake up, coffee and jits, lunch and jits, dinner and jits, all of it.
So you competed at ECE. So and then it was your first competition. So it's interesting to me because most people, their first competition, they want to jump into a regular tournament, something that has like a point system, usually with their same level, same rank. You, on the other hand, decided to go into the Lion's Den and do a super fight with not a white belt, but a high level blue belt that is some people consider could potentially be even a purple belt. Did you know that?
I found out afterwards. I found out the second part of that, the possible purple part.
Right.
I knew he was a blue belt. I didn't know how blue he was.
Yeah. So from what I heard is he's been, he's seasoned. He's competed quite a while, and some people could potentially say he's at a purple belt level, which is impressive, right? Because I saw your fight. I saw it live as much as I possibly could, and then I saw it afterwards. And man, you did amazing, bro. Like honestly, you did really, really good. And I think we talked offline on separate chats, where I gave you your props for that. But you did extremely well. You moved well. Obviously there's some adjustments that you can make.
Tremendous adjustments that
right.
have to be done.
But considering the fact that you're a white belt, and of course you've been training for almost 2 years plus consistently, coming into somebody who's probably been training, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, you did amazing, man. So tell us, what was your experience like leading up to that? Tell us, what was the day of? How did it feel during the match? How did it feel after? Give us your take on ECE.
So the first part is extremely important because I was supposed to compete on 3 separate occasions and it fell off. I was supposed to compete originally back in November.
Okay.
But there were some COVID things that happened, and because I live with my parents, I was like, I should take a step back just to be safe. I was supposed to compete then again January 31st. It got canceled. So they pushed it to March 7th. That got canceled again. So they pushed it all the way to upcoming May 1st.
Oh, wow.
So I was supposed to have already competed, get those nerves and jitters out of the way.
Yeah.
That never happened. So when Diego reached out to me and said, "Are you interested in this super fight with a blue belt?" I thought about it. Just because, there's guys in the gym that are sound blue belts. Sound. I hold my own against them, but I'm nowhere near. I think I'm nowhere near that level of, I can definitely take them and I'll win. I'm not there. I have no problem admitting that. So I thought about it. I'm just like, I don't do it. I thought about it and I was like, what do I have to lose? So,
right.
I had always heard that, the Unity guys, the Bone PJJ guys, like they're killers. So, I went in it thinking, I'm like, all right, I just got to do my best, all things considered, because I'm still a white belt,
Yeah.
Only been training for 2 years and some change. I'll just give it whatever I got. So I've just been training, making sure that, I can at least go, the 6 minutes that the match was. Training more no-gi on this one, I'm not going to lie. Like, I did focus more no-gi. But, I still trained gi, whatever. Just to make sure that everything was all right. All right, so building up to the fight, my weight was good. My weight was on point. And then there was that nice little thing where they didn't weigh us. So I was like, all right, But apart from that, no problem. I go there, and I'm basing my training off of the poster because I've never seen this guy before, ever. I'm looking at him, I'm like, all right, cool. Just some skinny white kid. All right, cool. I go there, and this dude is taller than I am, looks thick as hell, and I'm just like, oh, that's what I have to deal with.
Looks at the seat.
So I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, damn. All right, this is gonna be interesting. Let it be known that this dude was no way he was 175. But all right. So I'm there, and I was more nervous before the fight than actually there. There, I was cool.
Nice.
But leading up to it, I was, feeling a little bit nervous, like thinking, I'm like, oh, how's it gonna go? What does this guy do? Because I have no idea. I couldn't find any tape on this guy, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go off of what a blue belt should know, which is a standard amount of everything, like touches of everything. I think. So I'm just like, all right, I don't know what to expect. And then the fight was the fight, you know. I tried to hold my own as best I could.
Yeah, yeah. So in the fight, you got caught in a pretty aggressive guillotine at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
How was that, dude? Because I was like, oh no, I was screaming on my side. I was like, get out, defend it. How did that feel like? I mean, how was that for you right there at that moment?
Diego knows better than anybody that I could be caught in the worst thing ever. I'm not gonna tap off the rip. I'll
say that
hold
again.
there. I'll hold in there as long as I could. I'm not gonna lie, it was deep, but not to the point that I was gonna tap. Like I wasn't gonna tap for him.
Nice.
Let me just plug this in real quick. When I saw that, and I was like, after like 5 seconds, he wasn't tapping. I was like, he ain't gonna tap. Like, hey, he got it.
So if would you have preferred? We're gonna continue, but like, would you have preferred to go to sleep, or would you? Or is there a limit? Like, okay, yeah, I gotta tap at this point. Are you? I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll take a nap, or you a tap guy?
Yeah. If I know there's no way I'm getting out, I have no problem. No way.
Answer truthfully.
No. If there's absolutely no way I can get out, all right. But if it's like at that point where it's like, no, I can still move, I can still chill here.
Yeah.
I'll stay there. Because I don't know. I learned the hard way where it's like there's some people that like, go really hard on a choke and they just burn themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of take it to that extreme where it's just like, all right, I'll just let him burn himself out. I can chill here. Chill.
Yeah.
In quotes. But when he had that guillotine, it was in, but I could still breathe.
Gotcha.
So I was all right.
Yeah.
Instinctually, I knew, at some point, I just had to push off his hip, and he would let go. I just knew, because if I wasn't going to tap right away, there was no point in him holding it.
Right.
And he let it go.
And if I remember correctly, you talked about pushing at the hip, but you also threw the arm over the shoulder, right? I don't know if you realize that. I think you also threw the arm over the shoulder. I don't know if it was maybe just by nature or whatever, but that's the right thing to do, right? You kind of like put your shoulder, your arm over the shoulder, and then he ended up letting go, and then you guys reset. Which is a credit to your training, a credit to your mental reflexes, right? Because I tell people that you're probably never going to get into a real fight in life, right? You might. I mean, probably us. We probably, since we come from urban society, we've probably gotten in a few fist fights in the day, but most people in general will probably never get into a real physical altercation, right? But competing is probably the closest you're going to get to a pretty real fight, right? Because there's a lot of emotions and stuff going on at that moment. And to see that you reacted that way in a very self-defense oriented technique, for me, that was like, hats off, right? So it was really, really good, man. That was awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And if I can, I wanted to talk. So you mentioned that you had like nerves going into your match. Like, what was like the mindset? Like, was the nerves about like wanting to represent Roll Star the Academy versus Unity? Like what different like what was going on through your mind before the match, during the match, and then afterwards?
It was a combination of three things. It was representing Roll Star. It was being at a different gym, guys I don't know. I knew some of the guys that were fighting, but but still. And then the third thing was the thing that I really wish wasn't the case was it was my first ever outing, ever. So that was the big one. It was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know how I'm gonna do. Dude is training twice as long as I have, there were a lot of unknowns going into it. The only thing I knew going in was, all right, I weigh this much, I know this amount of stuff. Let's see how it goes. That was it. That's all I had. So, you know, so now May 1st, I will have actually competed in my first tournament. So I'm more relaxed for that one. But it's usually the other way around, how things go.
That's what's up. So you
So following.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
So following up, I guess, with that, and before I do that, I did want to shout out, Christian and ECE for putting on a fantastic event. This is number 3, and I've seen the first 2, and he's doing an amazing job. So shout out to Christian, to Unity, to Bones Academy, and all of them. For Dan, for taking the fight. So when I asked you about the fight, and I told you kind of like, who this person was, and I've seen him fight before, and I know some of these guys and how they train. Piggybacking off of that, like how did you feel? I know that you responded in the positive, and but what were you thinking at that point as well? In addition to Fernando's question.
What it was, I just looked at it and I was like, all right, I don't know what to expect. And then the only things that were the things that I heard afterwards were that, oh no, he has a wrestling background, he's kind of that, like it all made sense because it was hard to take him down. It was I couldn't keep him down. It was like I was just responding. I had my little moments of, all right, I'm gonna try this, but other than that, like he just had an answer to whatever I did. But with his experience, I expected it. But like no, he did an amazing job. Like there's nothing I could say. He did a great job, Dan. You're watching this. Fantastic job.
Do you feel that in the moment, in the beginning, obviously you're bumping hands, you're going through, you're getting those jitters out. There was at one point, if you see in the video, that you got up, and it's like you were shaking off. You felt like a little bit more like, man, I got it. You know what I'm saying? You were getting into a rhythm. Did you feel that in that moment? We saw it from our end.
Yeah.
We see it from the video. How did you feel in that moment?
It's funny because I was just watching the video yesterday, and I saw that particular thing, and I'm just like, oh, but like no, that's how I just shake things off. Like he was like crushing me a little bit, he had me down, a good amount of times, but like I just try and shake things off, and I just keep on moving on. I kind of knew. I went into it thinking this mindset, and this is nothing as Dan. This is how I went into it. It was just like, as long as I don't get tapped, I win. Because he's a belt higher than I am.
Yeah.
Probably 2. There's no way he shouldn't finish me. All things considered. So I was like, all right, if he couldn't get the guillotine, he went for a triangle. At the end, he couldn't do it. All right, I'm good.
That's what's up. Yeah, and I think that's a mental victory, especially given the situation and the discrepancy in the ranking. But at the same time, like it's credit to Dan. Obviously, he did a really good job controlling the match, mostly in the tempo and obviously on top. But you did a really decent job of defending. And one of the things I tell students when they come in, like, what's my expectation as a white belt? Like, what should I be looking to do? I usually the white belt level is you need to learn to defend yourself, right? So you might come into the first day on the mat, right? and you go with the first guy, you get tapped maybe like 10, 15, 20 times, who knows? You get tapped a bunch of times. And then as time goes on, that first person is your barometer. That's your gauge now. And now towards the end, you're no longer getting tapped. Maybe it's 25 times, or maybe no longer, but you're defending, right? So usually I'll tell people at white belt, you should learn how to defend yourself, and don't really focus on submissions and stuff like that. Obviously that comes with time, right? With practice, but the defense is super important at the white belt level, because obviously you're going against other people in the gym that might have more experience, blues, purples, and I know you got some high level blacks there, brown with Diego there. What do you think about that? Do you think at that level at white, the defense is the most important thing? Because it really showed off at the fight.
Yes. How I developed my game is like, I love half guard, and it came from, all right, I'm just gonna survive. You know, guys are gonna go look for this, look for that. That's why I'm comfortable playing from bottom, just because I survived the onslaught of just guys going for stuff. You know, that I could be on bottom and I'm chilling.
Nice.
So part of it came from, all right, and you could kind of see a little inkling in the fight where he took me down and tried to pass my guard, and I got half guard right away.
Okay.
And then from there is when I got full guard, and when he stood up. Part of it just came from that. It's just me, you know, surviving all this time, and then, all right, I'm gonna build from here.
Gotcha.
So I think the beginning is just, learn how to survive, defend, and then you build your way up to submissions.
Nice.
Yeah. So I agree. Yeah.
So you said you watched the fight, and I know for a lot of people watching their fights, especially, you know, if they didn't come out on top, it's hard to do, right? Because you got to like watch, you know, your mistakes and stuff, and you know, you got to remind it of the day. Because I know for me, I've competed and they've recorded and where I've lost, and I gotta like really, it's really difficult for me to watch it, right? But I end up watching it and with an open mind, and I'm like, okay, where did I make the mistake? And oh, there it is. How is it for you? So you watched it. Did you want to watch it in the beginning? Like, were you like, yo, I'm gonna watch it again. I want to see what I did wrong, or you were like hesitant?
I've watched it at least 7-8 times.
That's awesome, man.
At least 7-8 times.
That's
just because, you know, it's the thing. It's like I kind of knew I wasn't gonna win. So it's like, all right, what do I have to lose? But, you know, the competitive side of me hates the fact that I couldn't take him down. I couldn't sweep him twice. You know, other than that, putting that aside, you know, he controlled. So, you know, if he held me down, there's nothing I could have done. So it's like, all right, like I can't get mad at that.
That's what's up.
You know, so the whole fight I went into it with an open mind, but also in reviewing the tape, looking for feedback through with all the coaches and professors that we have. I like, unless I completely finished him or, you know, blew him out on points, there's a lot of stuff I have to work on. So I have to review the tape anyway.
Right.
You know,
so did was Lewis, who's one of the black belt instructors at Roll Star, and Omar, the other black belt instructor, and Diego and Adam, of course, and Adam is there.
Only 3 black belts. Now, don't put me in that black belt level.
Well, Diego's the owner, and he obviously is an instructor there, so we'll put you at the instructor level.
There you go.
But did they watch it with you and kind of point out, okay, this is?
They were there. They were all there at the fight.
Okay.
Shout out to all of them. You know, them there was definitely an added benefit. But with all the classes that I go to on a weekly basis, I definitely ask them all, like, oh, what do you think about this particular situation? The takedown was the takedown. I off air, Fernando, you asked if I have a wrestling background. I have no wrestling background whatsoever. I did 2 weeks of wrestling in high school, but it was just because I was bored. And I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. So I tried it, but I just knew that it wasn't for me. The fact that I almost had that takedown, it was a good thing and a bad thing. It was a good thing because I was like, I don't know where that came from, and it almost got and I almost got it. The downside was like I almost had it. Why didn't I get it? That's how I went into looking at it. And then it was just like it was Professor AP and Coach Fred that told me, it was like, yo, like this is the only thing you have to do. Just turn a little bit to the right, or just grab the leg. I was like, why didn't I think of that?
Right. But those are micro adjustments, right? That'll come.
Yeah, they're micro adjustments that, but it just goes to show that, the one thing that I don't train, well, one of the things I don't train, which is wrestling takedowns, I definitely have to implement it because
you start on the feet.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I was gonna say, in preparation for your next your tournament on May 1st, is that something that you want to implement into your game, like trying to practice more, like shooting for takedowns, single legs, doubles, things of that nature? Because you do start on your feet. So is that something that you want to try to incorporate moving forward, or just go with your mindset of your preparation for your tournament on the 1st?
I've definitely been focusing on the fact that we start on the feet regardless. And fights get started up sometimes, so there's no way I can neglect it now, especially after fighting for the first time. It's like, it's a wake-up call too. Like, all right, jiu-jitsu on the ground, but you're going to start on the ground unless you're pulling guard every time. And I wasn't exactly confident in pulling guard in nogi, so I was like, all right, let's start from standing and see what happens. Obviously, I almost got caught in a guillotine, so it goes to show how good I am at standing. But I don't know, baby steps, I guess.
That's what's up. So let me plug in real quick our sponsor, Rolosophy. If you haven't followed Rolosophy yet, please do so on Facebook and Instagram at rolosophy, and check out some of their great gear, rolosophy.com. Right on the ticker is their social media account. So take a 2 seconds to just follow them real quick and support them. So we appreciate their help and support on in making this happen as well. So we have a question from Jesse. Jesse. So he wanted you to talk a little bit more about the mental preparation, being the fact that the guy, I guess at the time you didn't really know the guy was bigger. You mentioned that you just from the poster, you kind of sized him up and you felt, man, he might be about my size, maybe a little thinner or whatever. But he wanted you to talk more about leading up your mental preparation and how you envisioned the match going.
I envisioned the match. So let me start off by saying that, for the most part, at least, especially in the beginning, guys that I went up against were a lot bigger than I was. Not bigger, like, tall wise, but, just either more stronger, had a little bit more, thickness to him, some love weight on him. But I was used to that. So, when it comes to guys that are more my weight, all right, whatever works for them definitely works on them. So, like, if I can get out from under a 250, 300-pound guy, if I know I can get out from there, all right, definitely a guy that's my weight, I'll be all right. So I envisioned this guy being, you know, a little bit more, you know, smaller than I was, not as strong. So I figured it's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna toss this guy. It's just gonna be like, you know, because I'm more used to like the bigger guys. So it's like, all right, cool. Like I can move him around a little bit. That wasn't the case. So when I saw him, it was like, all right, it's gonna be what I train with.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be a little bit more careful. The mental preparation was, I just got a little bit ahead of myself, but it was also, I didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
So I just had to just rely on what I do, which is, all right, you know, there's the guys here at Rollstar. Just go with everyone, find out what works depending on their size. And then when I saw him, I was like, all right, this is what it's going to be. And it was exactly what ended up happening. Dude was also like a little bit bigger, but he also had the more experience. So he knew what to do. So only thing I could do was just react. I envisioned the match being a little bit more scrappier, maybe.
Mm.
But I don't know. I think it ended up looking better. It was just, you know, a dude in Dan that, you know, has the experience, has the training, versus me who, you know, has some experience, some training, but I guess just has heart that, you know, just went in. It's like, all right, let's see what happens.
That's what's up. So let's jump off ECE just with one last question. Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what's up.
But so
you heard that?
Okay.
You gotta put him on the list.
Yeah, we got it.
Shout out
Christian,
Justin, by the way.
But let me ask you this just before we get off of this, you know, ECE is a specific tournament. I mean, we did super fights. You know, you had one fight on May 1st. Grappling Industries is going to come out with probably, you know, you'll probably have a handful of fights, if that. A different style of tournament. How do you think that this can help you? Or have you even thought that far already? Do you feel like you can compare, you can take some of it? How do you feel that it will help you or not at that point? You know, in a different tournament.
With this one, you know, because I knew it was just one fight, I just put everything I had.
Mm.
There wasn't a point where I didn't have my foot off the gas. Except for when he held me down, like he pinned me down north south. There was nothing I could do. But other than that, like I just went as hard as I can. I just tried to push the pace as much as I could. I know I can't do that at Grappling Industries because I'm doing gi and no gi, so I have a certain amount of matches in gi, a certain amount of matches in no gi. So it's like I really have to work on just pacing.
Mm.
You know, because of the competitive aspect of how I grew up, how competitive we are at Rollstar, we always give it our 100 on every roll. Every roll. So I have to kind of not do that. But you know, I'm just gonna go into it, you know, all right, I know I have whatever skills I do. But I know I also have to relax.
Mm.
And that goes figuratively and literally. It's like, yo, slow down. Because if I just go too hard on the first match, then I'm kind of screwed for the other ones.
Yeah. That's what's up.
And coming from your background in martial arts, this is like going back to like your journey into like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. How did that background help you transition into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Especially you went from, there was a gap between when you were 14 up until when you started back in 2018. Again, like how leaning on that background was able to help you transition into being like a full-time jiu-jitsu practitioner slash competitor.
It's funny because like looking back on when I did train here in Bergenfield, I can't think of a time where I felt I was actually improving. It's not a knock on the gym or anything. It's just it was something new, and I didn't know. I probably didn't appreciate it as much. So, you know, I knew there were moves that I learned there that when I was at Rolster, I was like, oh, I've seen that before. But it was like, if you asked me to apply it at the time, I'd be like, I don't know. So I was just exposed to it. And then coming to Rolster, I was like, okay, I knew what to expect more. So, you know, my experience, my first outing with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it was a plus. Like nothing against that. I just didn't. I think it was more me that I didn't appreciate it as much and didn't take advantage of it because I also was more focused on soccer at the time.
Gotcha. So, we wanted to talk a little bit about how jiu-jitsu has benefited you. So we talked about your mindset with coming into ECE, your competition experience, your journey. How has been, now that you're training jiu-jitsu, if you remember the first day or where you were at in life at that point, mentally, physically, whatever it was, now fast forward 2 years later, you've trained jiu-jitsu. It's part of your life. It's part of your lifestyle, right? It's not just a hobby for you. It seems like it's something that, it's in your blood. You can't live without it at this point, right? How has jiu-jitsu helped you overall, not just from a martial art perspective that you learn techniques and you can defend yourself, but mentally and physically, how has jiu-jitsu helped you in that sense?
First, it's taught me, it's solidified the fact that, that it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful sport. Regardless of the belt that some guys have, even if they're white, there's something very innate about the sport that is just amazing. For me, it's been, it's helped me become more calm. Calm in the sense that, even when things are going terribly, you gotta, reset and just think, how am I getting out of this? And that goes for whatever, bad day at work, bad situation, you're trying to choke. Like, all right, calm down. How are we getting out of this? Jiu-jitsu has also been an escape for me. It's been a long day at work. All right, I'm just gonna brush it all off and then sweat it out for 2+ hours. All right, it gets me tired enough. All right, cool. I can go to bed and I'll just train again in the morning and go back to work the next day and rinse and repeat.
Nice.
It's just, it just complements whatever is going on.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it as a little bit of an escape, but also it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to see, definitely. I have no problem looking at tape of a fight. I would have a much harder time looking at tape of my first rolls because then I probably just can't watch that. I probably can't watch.
And a lot of people said like jiu-jitsu, it's a form of therapy, right?
Oh yeah.
They use it to get away from. I know for me, and I'm the same exact way. If I have a tough day, when you're on the mat and you're worried about this guy coming at you to obviously submit you, choke you, put you in an arm bar, whatever, you're just focused on that, right? you're just focused on the person in front of you, right? Giving it, you're all in that role, and nothing else in the world matters, right? It's just like you're like in a perfect place, and it's very therapeutic to come in, be able to, like you said, sweat it off, get your workout in, and for that hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, nothing matters, right? You don't even think about any of the other stresses. We're worried about the dude coming at you, but that's it, right? So for me, man, I often interpret it as, I'm going to therapy, my form of therapy, right? Because it's definitely a way to be able to just isolate those issues that you have, just for a brief second, and just do you, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it, at least from my limited experience in both life and in jiu-jitsu. There's nothing like it. Definitely, it's something I could see myself doing till I can no longer walk. But again, I'm just thankful to have been. I'm thankful to have been exposed to it again.
Nice.
Just because, yeah, I had a second chance at it.
That's what's up. So let me ask you this: so you have a second chance, right? And Roll Star, there is a lot of hermanos that are actually training there and teaching.
Yeah.
How has that been a factor in you staying with jiu-jitsu, right? Has that played a role, given the fact that you have an hermandad already within an hermandad, right? Because when you join a jiu-jitsu community, when you join a jiu-jitsu gym, they're very, very close niche, right? You find almost kind of family within those people who are training with you, right? But then you also have, brothers who are training with you. And I think that's a really unique component of Roll Star, that you have Adam, Lewis, Preet is there, you're there, Diego's there, Milton is there, Matt was there. So you have a bunch of brothers that are training there as well. How important has that been in your experience of, staying with jiu-jitsu? Has that played a role?
It's played a role. It was more solidified at the Lambdas Who Roll open mat that I went to.
Okay.
Where I was like, wow. Because you had guys like Pacheco there, no, it was just a cool experience, I think there are those gyms where, like, no, it's just like, just guys that are killers because they just want to train jiu-jitsu and that's it. I look at Roll Star it's that plus, we all have this thing in common that's called Lambdas on Lambda. Where it's like, although I'm from a different generation of the fraternity, guys, especially guys that aren't as involved other than, in jiu-jitsu, I kind of see it as like, I've always been the one that, I always look up to the older hermanos, just because they have all the experience that they do. So it was always a dual benefit of, take AP. He's spring 04 from Uslan chapter. I found out that because the day of the open mat, I had gone to a chapter event, and Willie Rivas said, like, I heard that you have a good instructor. It's like, yeah, because that's his line brother. It's like, so, like, frat has its nice little roots where it's entangled in everything.
Yeah.
Turns out that I now train at a gym where all of the instructors are hermanos.
That's what's up, man.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's just.
And we're gonna talk more about why we actually got this started, Lambdas Who Roll. But one of the questions I wanted to was the open mat. with Lambdas who roll the first time you got, reintroduced to jiu-jitsu, or was there like, something before that, and then you went to a Lambdas who roll event, and then you got into Roll Star?
Diego might know a little bit better. I'm pretty sure I went to a class first.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Gotcha.
Is that right? Or did I go to the open mat first?
I think you went. I don't think you came to our first open mat. I think
No.
After, so yeah, I think you came to a class.
Okay, then yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I went to a class first because of Manny, who told me, like, yo, what are you doing on this day? I was like, no, nothing. It's like, come to this thing. I was like, bet.
That's what's up. And like Manny's there too, right? We got to shout him out. How could we forget, right? Manny's also a trainer. He's become a beast. Hopefully we'll have him on the show one of these days.
Hiro Kimura.
Yeah, for real, man. He was hunting the Kimura last time. I was like, okay, I gotta step it up, man. These guys are getting crazy over here, man. But so we're closing on the hour. We have about 7 minutes left. I did have one more question, and I think I've been the question hog today, and my bad. I apologize to Fernando and Diego, man. I'm here hitting them up on the private chat, man. Jump in anytime you want. One question, and after this, I'll shut up, and then they can ask whatever they want. But if you have a friend at work or family friend, what advice would you give them to get them to do jujitsu, right? Like, how would you get people to come and do jujitsu? Because for us, man, like we talked about the mental health component of jiu-jitsu really helps you with stress levels and stuff like that. Obviously, the health benefit, right? You see people lose a lot of weight, the self-defense component. Now, you're a badass, you learn how to fight, all these things we know, right? We already know, we feel it, we go through it, right? But let's say what would you say to someone who is interested in jiu-jitsu but is hesitant? Like, how do you pull them in?
It doesn't help the fact that I've come to work with a couple, injuries. This nice little cauliflower ear. It doesn't help, but no, I definitely tell them it's like, if a gym like a Retro, a LA Fitness, a Planet Fitness, if that's their escape, by all means, run with it. Because there's like I've tried it at least 4 or 5 times. A gym is not for me. I don't know. I don't find that. I don't find what I find with jiu-jitsu. And I talked to my barber about it. It was like, yo, like, for him it's lifting weights. For me, it's just getting choked out and tossing people. Like, all right, we each have our own thing. Yeah. But what I do say is that it's not something you can knock until you've tried it. It's that, I just was interested in self-defense because my dad has a judo background. And, I did Taekwondo for a year or two. I did jiu-jitsu the 1 year. I definitely had a second chance at it. And it was, there's no way I would change my mind.
True.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Anything else you guys want to add, Diego, Fernando, before I ask another question? I got one. You guys are not going to ask anything. So you mentioned your dad's has a judo background. Have you tried to convince your dad to come on the mats?
Oh, I have.
Has he tried it yet or not yet?
Not yet, because when he was about to, stuff hit the fan. I got a McGee. It's there waiting. It's there waiting.
I try to get my dad on the mats, man, but he's not really wanting. I don't think he wants to get tossed around like that. But hopefully, get your dad on there. Maybe it inspire my dad to start training with us too.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're on mute real quick.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh yeah, man. I mean, I wanted to to kind of just add that Brendan is I mean, he shows like amazing talent on the mat, not to toot your horn, brother, but like, so as far as like, the competition and all that stuff that you started off talking about, it really goes to show that the experience, the what you put on the mat, it like how you train is what matters, right? The belt is great. It's a great motivator. It's a great way to kind of like show the progress. But yeah, man, I mean, even though Brandon is still carrying the white belt, I mean, the experience, the technique, the talent is beyond that. So, and these are one of the things that kind of it's a big deal in jiu-jitsu, right? Because it allows us or it forces us to kind of take away like any ego, to kind of look at someone and say, he's just a white belt, and I can kind of, beat him up, and we don't look at it that way, as opposed to, maybe some other sports or arts that may have a different style and mentality and flow. So yeah, man, big ups to you, man, and like I'm looking forward to me first, man. So really excited, and and we love having you on the mats, brother. Like, I mean, so it's definitely a pleasure, and yeah, man.
No, I can't thank you guys enough for opening your doors to a guy like me. Again, with whatever tournament comes, I always try my best to represent the brand, represent the gym, represent LUL. It's a part of me, and with where I train, with who I train with, it's always a reflection of all that. And I just hope I keep getting better.
That's what's up, man. All right, man. With that, I guess we'll close. Appreciate Brandon. Thank you so much for coming on board, man. And we're super excited to see what's next for you. Hopefully in May, we'll you'll just rock, come out with it on top, and hopefully we'll have you on the show one more time. We'd love to hear more about your experiences and your journey, right? Let's see how it goes, right?
No, yeah, guys, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Also,
just for those people that are watching, we are going to continue having open mats. We want to encourage hermanos to come try out jiu-jitsu, whether you're training, whether you've tried it once and you didn't do it again, or you've never tried it again. Obviously, we want to try to build our community through the Hermandad and increase those who are practicing jiu-jitsu. And hopefully this will be a platform to introduce you to one side of BJJ, and then hopefully, we will get you into the other side where we're actually on the mats and showing technique. So we're excited. Of course, the situation that we're in, it doesn't really allow itself to have, the events that we had in the past, but hopefully in the future we can plan something. I know we're working on something behind the scenes to set something up in New Jersey. I've already spoken to some people, some in Maryland, but we wanted to go just beyond that too. We want to, we have brothers who are training in Florida, who are training in other places in the country. We want to be able to expand and have them also set something up like that. So we're super excited. We appreciate the time. Diego, Fernando, thank you so much, for doing this with us, with me. And, we'll see you next week. Anything else you guys want to say before we log off?
Yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Lambdas Who Roll Live. Let's hit those thumbs up. Thank you, for tuning in. We appreciate that. We'll see you next week.
Os.
Para siempre.
Para siempre.
Well, palm down.
Yes.